Hi, welcome to ArtStream. My name is Noah McLain Philpot, and I am the puppetry arts teacher with the Lane Arts Council. So today, we're going to be working on making rod puppets, and we're going to make them out of just some cool stuff that you can find around your house. Here's a quick example of the type of puppet we're going to be making. Here we go. This is a little elf that I just made really fast. Hello, how are you? As you can see, he is built out of pencils and paper. So you don't need a lot to get this started, but it is going to be a lot of fun. Now, before we get started on that, let's take a moment to center ourselves and expand our imagination, because our imagination is the most important thing that we have. It is the ultimate tool. Every cool thing that's ever been invented by anyone started in their imagination. All the music you've ever heard, all your favorite movies, all of your favorite games, it all begins in the imagination. We even use our imagination to do math and to do science. And I really want to encourage you, any chance you get, use your imaginations, because your life will be better for it. So to expand our imaginations, we're going to imagine for a moment that we're a tree. So close your eyes, take a deep breath. Now hold your hands up in the air. Imagine that your arms are the limbs of a tree and you're reaching up towards the sun. You can feel the sunlight on your leaves, and you pull that warmth down through your leaves, into your limbs, into your trunk, and down into your roots. And then you give that sunlight down into the earth. Put that warmth down in the earth. And while you're down there, use your roots to sink down deep and draw water up from beneath, and pull that water up through your roots, up through your trunk, out your branches and out your leaves, and give that water to the sky. And feel that sunlight and warmth coming in, and that cool water rising up, mixing in between you, filling you up, and release it to the world. Very good. Take a deep breath. And let's get started. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start by making faces. It's one of my favorite parts of puppetry, is creating the face of the character that I'm going to make. So all we're going to need to begin with is some scissors, pencils or markers for getting your faces drawn, and a piece of paper. Now, if you can use some thick paper, it works best. I like to use cardstock, but if you don't have that, then any kind of paper will do. You can also use recycled cardboard, like from a cereal box or something like that. The thicker the paper is, the longer your puppet will last. So if you can find some thick, nice thick paper, that would be best. Now we're going to start by drawing different faces. You can draw as many different faces as you would like. You can draw faces of characters you know, faces of your friends or family, or things straight out of your imagination. It doesn't really matter, because this is your art and you can do it however you want. So when I'm drawing faces, what I like to do is first to decide what kind of creature that I'm going to make. I'm going to make, to begin with, you know what, I'm going to make a dragon, because I just love dragons so much. And so I think, like, what kind of shape is the shape of a dragon's head? Well, dragons kind of have a triangular head, maybe a little rounded, but kind of triangle. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with a triangle shape, maybe kind of long on one side and rounded on the other. And then I'm going to give it some spikes like that, and eyes. The most important part of making puppets are the eyes. And I like to have really big eyes on my puppets so that the audience can see them. We'll give it really big pupils, because that makes it look happy. And then we're going to give this one some teeth. We're going to have a bunch of teeth hanging out there, and we'll do the bottom jaw separately here. We'll do some teeth there. And there's my little dragon head. That's pretty fun. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and draw a few different heads, and then we'll cut them all out at once. The next one I'm going to do is going to be an elf, because I like elves too. An elf also has kind of a triangular shaped head. It starts with the chin like this, and there's the top of the head. That's not really a triangle, but it's kind of triangular. And elves usually have long ears, so I'm going to give it long, pointy ears. like so. We're going to give it really big eyes to make it look very friendly. Big pupils. And a smile. And a little nose. And I think on this elf, we're going to give it some crazy spiky hair. All right. Now, you can add as much detail to your face as you would like. I could put some little lines in for the ears, things like that. We could give more kind of hair shape in there. We can draw teeth in. That's a good way to do it. Like so. And then let's do one more face. Let's see. I think I will also do a wizard because, you know, I have a fondness for wizards as well. So this wizard, I'm going to start a little higher because he's going to have a long beard. So he's going to have more of a round head, kind of like that. And then I'm going to do the beard next. He's going to have a long, scraggly beard. And I'll put his mouth probably right in here. He's going to have a smaller mouth, and maybe he needs a long mustache too. Now, when you're making characters like this, you're just doing little cartoons, it's important to remember that there's no right way or wrong way to draw a cartoon character because they don't really look like people. They're not realistic. Like this guy here, you can see he doesn't really look like an actual person looks. But a cartoon is almost more like a symbol of a person. So it needs to have some of the same basic parts that a real person would have, but they don't have to be the same shape. We're not doing photorealistic drawing right now. So if it doesn't look exactly like what you wanted it to, don't worry about it because it's just a symbol. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these out. Now, it's important to cut them right on the lines because you want the silhouette of the drawing to show up. So I'm going to start by cutting out a big chunk of paper so that it's easier for me to cut on those lines, because sometimes it's really hard to cut right on the lines when you're cutting it out of the big piece. So I'm going to start by cutting smaller pieces like that. And then I'll set that to the side. Now, when I'm cutting out my faces, I want to cut right on those lines, but I want to keep the line visible on the puppet because that's really where all the detail is. Now, as you can see, I just used black and white to do these puppets, but you can decorate them any way you want. You could put on colors, you could use glitter glue, you can use crayons and markers to make them as fancy as you would like to be. But since we're kind of limited in time, I'm just going to do black and whites for now. I really want to encourage you to decorate your puppets however you like, because this is your art. These are your puppets, so make them the way you want to. Now, some people really like to use other ideas, not just their own drawings, but you could even print out pictures from the internet of your favorite characters, or you could print out pictures of your family even. It would be really fun to do a puppet show where you just printed out pictures and then cut out the faces and then made puppets with real pictures of your friends or family and then did a puppet show with them. That would be super duper fun. And so I want to encourage you to experiment on your own and try different ways of making puppets. They don't all have to be done exactly this way. So notice how I'm making these little cuts to make the hair all spiky on this guy. It really helps to keep as much detail as you can on your puppets, because then they'll be more interesting to look at when you're finished. Let's see. Just get those last little details. Get that ear and that head. There we go. So here's my little spiky-headed elf. That's pretty cute. And Let's do the dragon next. He should be a little faster to cut out. Also, when you're carving you're cutting out the heads, think about what sort of accessories you might want to have for this puppet. Like, it just occurred to me that a dragon, well, it needs to maybe breathe out some fire. So I think I might draw a fire for it to be able to, be a proper dragon. Proper dragons need to be a little bit dangerous. And this one, I think, is definitely a fire breather. There we go. Whoops. So we got our dragon and our elf. I'm going to cut out my wizard real quick here. I really enjoy doing this, just making cool things, making art, and experimenting, trying new ideas. Because in art, there's no such thing as a mistake. There's only opportunities for growth and learning. So even if my picture doesn't turn out exactly the way I want it, well, that just gives me a chance to try again or to change what I want to suit what I have. Sometimes when I'm limited by my materials, like I don't have all the right things that I need to do my original idea, I change my idea to suit the materials I have, and I often end up creating something that's much better than my original idea was in the first place, because I'm forced to use my imagination to make it better. And that imagination is a powerful thing. All right, almost done with this guy. Get those crazy mustaches in there. All right, so we got our wizard head and our dragon head and our elf head. And like I said before, I'm going to quickly make some dragon fire. Fire can be fun to draw. It's one of my favorite things. I used to doodle fire all the time when I was younger, and I still do. So when I draw fire, I like to draw lots of curves because fire dances and moves. And I try to use curves to show that motion. The drawing, well, a drawing stays still, but you can make it look like it's moving by using curves. So there's my little fireball. I'm going to start like I did before with just cutting out around the shape to give me a smaller piece of paper to work with. That really, really, really does help when I'm cutting out. And, on this, I don't have to cut exactly on the lines because that's going to take a lot of time. I'm going to go around the edges like so. And, if I was doing a professional puppet show, I would spend a lot of time adding in colors and sparkles and things like that to this just to make it a little more fancy. But for now, that's a pretty good dragon fire. Awesome. So now that we have our heads cut out, what we're going to do is find some pencils. Now, it's probably better to use a pencil that isn't sharp, just so you don't end up accidentally poking yourself or somebody else. So I've got a few random pencils. I've got a Halloween pencil here, a little Paw Patrol pencil there. This one's got a point on it, but that's fine. And I'm going to need some tape. You don't have to use big blue tape. You could use clear Scotch tape or just whatever kind of tape you have around. Or if you don't have tape, you could even use glue. Now, if you're going to use glue, it's going to take a little time for the glue to dry. So you'd add the glue on and glue the pencil to the paper, and then you're going to have to let it sit for probably an hour or so before it's dry enough. If you use tape, you can use it right away. So let's do tape. So I'm going to turn my little elf over, and then I'm going to put the pencil right there on top of it. I'm going to take some tape, just a tiny little piece. It doesn't have to be huge. Just enough to be able to stick the pencil to the paper like that. And sometimes it can be helpful to get a second piece of tape, just a little one, and tape down that top right there. It makes it a little bit more secure. And so now I've got my little elf head on a stick. And that is the first step towards making your very own rod puppet. Now, rod puppetry is a traditional art form, and it's been practiced the world over. In pretty much every culture on the planet at some point has invented and used rod puppets. And there are still amazing, beautiful living traditions of traditional rod puppetry that happen in Belgium and Poland, in China, India, Java. Places all around the world still use rod puppetry for entertainment, for religious services, for all kinds of fun things. And you might have encountered rod puppetry at parades or festivals, sometimes amusement parks, things like that. Rod puppetry is used quite a bit for entertaining and for even advertising. People will create puppets to do commercials, and that's actually how the Muppets got started. The Muppets, I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Muppets. They're one of my personal favorites. The Muppets are a kind of rod puppet and also a kind of hand puppet. So there's a hand up inside their head for the mouth, but then the arms are controlled with sticks, with rods, kind of like this. So those are some examples of how rod puppetry is still actively being used and is still kind of important to a lot of people. So let's see, let's get our dragon finished. Here we go. Just one little piece there. Let's go ahead and tape the fire into the dragon's mouth like that. All right. So we got our fire-breathing dragon, our wizard head, and our elf head all finished up there. Isn't that fun? Well, that's just about all the time we have for today. So set those aside, put them somewhere safe, and we're going to use them in a couple of lessons to put our puppets together. Next time, we're going to work on hands, because that's another important part of making a puppet. So thank you for joining me. Thanks for having a good time and making art. Keep it up. Make as many different heads as you have materials to make them with. Like I said before, you can draw them, you can print them from the internet, you can use a picture of family or friends. You can create puppets in any way that you want to. So thanks for playing. I hope you come back and see us again soon. Please tune into ArtStream again. We have lots of different amazing artists with some really cool projects and all kinds of media. So thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon.